Alright guys, welcome back to Quick Picks with the Geek, the show where we try to make some smart bets and occasionally throw a dollar at chaos just to keep things interesting. This card is one of those weeks where everything feels uncomfortable. No heavy confidence spots, no bet your rent plays, and honestly, that usually means one thing: expect the unexpected. So this week we're keeping things smart. No lock of the night, one live dog I really like, and then we're getting a little reckless with a lottery parlay that could turn pocket change into a pretty nice payday. As always, bet smart, don't chase losses. And remember, we're here to make calculated risks, not bad life decisions. Alright, let's kick things off with the lock of the night. And yeah, we're doing this again. No lock of the night this week, guys. This card is just way too competitive. A lot of close fights, a lot of coin flips, and honestly, that usually makes for great fights, but terrible locks. The biggest favorite on the entire card is Pico sitting at around minus 340, and even that doesn't feel like something I'm ready to mortgage the house on. Now don't get me wrong, I still feel confident in my picks. I just don't see anything on this card that I can call a for sure thing. And if you've watched this channel long enough, you know I'd rather be honest than force a lock just to have one. Because forced locks, that's how you end up explaining to your wife why the grocery money turned into a 3-leg parlay. So no lock this week. But that just means we hunt for value somewhere else. And trust me, I think we found some. Alright, moving on to the live dogs of the night. And this week, I'm keeping it simple. I only have one dog that I really like, and that's Esteban Ribovics coming in at plus 146. And the reason I like Ribovics here really comes down to one thing: his takedown defense. Because if Ribovics can keep this fight standing, I think there's a pretty clear gap in the striking. And not just a small gap. I'm talking about a noticeable difference in speed, power, and overall striking ability. Ribovics has better hands, faster hands, and more powerful hands. He's very sharp when he lets his combinations go. And he doesn't just throw one shot at a time, he actually puts things together. He mixes up his shot selection really well, goes to the body, changes levels with his strikes, and he does a good job mixing in kicks to keep his opponents guessing. Another thing I really like about Ribovics is the pace he fights at. He pushes a high tempo, throws with volume, and he's not afraid to stay active for all 3 rounds. And when you're getting plus money on a fighter who's likely going to be the one landing more, pushing the pace, and dictating where the fight takes place, that's the kind of dog I like to bet on. Now obviously, the biggest concern here is the grappling. If he gets taken down consistently, things could get tricky. But Ribovics has shown solid takedown defense, and more importantly, he does a good job of getting back to his feet when he does get put on his back. So when I look at this matchup, I see Ribovics keeping this fight standing, landing the cleaner shots, pushing the pace, and ultimately just outworking his opponent over 3 rounds. At plus 146, I think there's real value here, and that's why Esteban Ribovics is my live dog of the night. Alright, time for the parlay of the night. And yeah, we got absolutely crucified last week. But that's part of the fight game. Sometimes you look like a genius. Sometimes you look like you picked fights by throwing darts at a board. But shout out to Tatiana Suarez, and he showed out in a big way. That was a huge underdog win that not many people saw coming. And it's also starting to look like we might have been sold a bill of false goods on Bekoev. He's now in danger territory, and that's not a great place to be in the UFC. But still, credit where it's due. Big win for Gore, big morale boost, and honestly, those underdog wins are what make this sport so fun and so stressful. Anyway, let's bounce back this week. First leg of the parlay is Charles Radke, coming in as a minus 200 favorite. This fight should be an absolute war. Francisco Prado always comes to fight, and Charles is the same way. These guys are not showing up to point fight. They're showing up to throw hands. I think Francisco will be dangerous early. He's aggressive, he throws hard, and he's the type of fighter that can make things chaotic right out of the gate. But I think if Charles survives that first round, the fight starts to swing heavily in his favor. Charles pushes a strong pace, he stays active, and I think he has more weapons on the feet. As the fight goes into round 2, I expect that pace to start taking over. Charles starts landing more, mixing things up, and eventually pulling away. If he survives the early storm, I think this becomes his fight to lose. Next leg is Nate Landwehr at -138. Now this one is risky, because Cub Swanson is a legend. Even at this stage of his career, he's still dangerous, still technical, and still capable of catching someone. But I think the biggest factor here is the forward pressure from Nate. Nate is relentless. He walks forward, throws in volume, and turns every fight into chaos. And while Cub is still dangerous, he is slowed down a bit, and that's where Nate can capitalize. This is another fight that's probably going to be a banger. I'm a huge fan of both guys, but I really like this bounce-back spot for Nate. He needs a win, and this feels like the perfect opportunity. I expect Nate to walk him down, throw what feels like 3,000 punches, and either overwhelm him late or just edge out a close decision. And hey, maybe we finally get one of those questionable split decisions to go our way for once. Next leg is Azamat Murzakanov at -200. This one is honestly more about fading Paulo Costa than anything else. Azamat has serious power, and I'm not convinced Paulo has felt power like that before. I mean, yeah, he fought Yoel Romero, so maybe he has. But Azamat hits hard, really hard. Out of his 6 UFC fights, he's knocked out everyone except Dustin Jacoby, and he still beat Jacoby over 3 rounds. That showed he's not just a knockout artist, he can also go the distance and win a technical fight. I just don't think Paulo can keep up with him. If Azamat starts landing clean, this could get dangerous quickly. And the final leg, Aaron Pico at -340. This is my most confident leg. And yeah, I'm gonna say it, I don't think most Bellator fighters are looking very good against UFC level competition. We saw how patchy Mix looked, and it wasn't great. If you think he won his last fight, you might want to kindly exit the video now. Yeah, no, I'm serious right now. Patricio Pitbull got run through by Yair Rodriguez and barely got past Dan Ige. Michael Page hasn't looked nearly as dangerous either. His fights in the UFC have mostly been slow and tactical. He uses footwork to stall fights the same way grapplers stall with wrestling. I'm just saying, these guys aren't looking as dominant when they step up in competition. Now, rant over. Aaron Pico is actually one of the few I think has real potential. He looked good against Lerone Murphy until he got caught. And honestly, I was glad he got caught because I picked Murphy that night. But Pico has power, aggression, and finishing ability. I think he pressures Pitbull, lands the bigger shots, and likely gets a finish in round 1 or 2. Out of all the Bellator guys, Pico might have the highest upside. So that is a 4-leg parlay. Charles Radka, -200, Nate Landwehr, -138, Azamat Murzakanov, -200, Aaron Pico, -340. That comes out to +402. Not bad at all, pretty solid value for a 4-leg parlay. Anything more than 3 legs starts getting really risky, but I actually like this one. So let's bounce back this week and hopefully cash this ticket. All right, now we've got something new this week, the lottery parlay. And this one is exactly what it sounds like. This is super risky, but the value is insane. This parlay comes in at +2,332. That means $1 wins you $23 and some change. Now I want to be very clear here. I am not advising anyone to bet big on this parlay. This is one of those throw some change on it and hope for the best type of plays. Honestly, I wouldn't bet more than $3. $3 turns into $69, and that's a solid return for a fun long shot. So let's get into it. First leg is Chris Padilla at -174. I really like Padilla's output here. He fights at a high pace, he's constantly throwing, and he does a great job mixing in those elbows. And those elbows are nasty. He's the type of fighter that can change a fight in close range very quickly. If this turns into a gritty fight in the pocket or along the cage, I really like Padilla's chances to do damage and take over. Next leg is Tatiana Suarez at -166. This one really comes down to the wrestling. I think Suarez is the better wrestler, and if she commits to that game plan, I think she can control this fight. Lupi Godinez is tough, durable, and always competitive. but she can be a little too patient on the feet at times. If she gives Suarez time and space, Suarez is going to close the distance, secure takedowns, and start banking rounds. I think the wrestling advantage is the difference here. Next up is Randy Brown at -140. I actually think Randy has a real chance to get a finish in this fight. He's long, he's technical, and he does a great job landing clean, impactful shots. Even if he doesn't get the finish, I still see him landing the bigger shots and doing more damage overall. And we know judges love damage these days, so that plays right into Randy's style. Next leg is Dominic Reyes at -125. This is one of those fights where both guys are a little chinny, so you have to decide whose chin you trust more. And honestly, I trust Dominic's chin more than Johnny Walker. Walker has had some wild knockout losses, not just in the UFC, but even on the regional scene. Reyes is the more technical striker, and if he lands clean, I think he can absolutely get a knockout here. I actually think Dom has a real chance to finish this fight early. Next leg is Curtis Blaydes at -136. I think Curtis has the advantage pretty much everywhere. Better striking, better grappling, and better footwork than Josh. And on top of that, Curtis has real heavyweight knockout power, something Josh hasn't really dealt with yet. Now Josh does have momentum, and sometimes that can carry a fighter further than expected. But it's just hard to see Curtis losing this one. I think Josh starts by trying to stand and trade. Then once he feels that power, he might try to grapple. But if that doesn't work, Curtis could take over and potentially get the finish. And the final leg is Jiri Prochazka at -125. This one is definitely risky. Jiri is chaotic, and he can absolutely get caught clean. But once he turns on the gas and starts moving forward, he becomes incredibly difficult to stop. Carlos Ulberg is great when he's controlling the fight, but when he's getting pressured, things look very different. We saw that against Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I think Jiri can replicate that pressure, force Ulberg backward, and create chaos. And when fights get chaotic, Jiri usually thrives. So that is the lottery parlay. Chris Padilla -174, Tatiana Suarez -166, Randy Brown -140, Dominic Reyes -125, Curtis Blaydes -136, Jiri Prochazka -125. That comes out to +2,332. Again, this is a long shot. You don't need to bet the rent money, just throw $1 or $2 on it and see what happens. We've got a card full of close fights, so every parlay is risky. But this is one I like. I'll be putting $1 on it myself. And let me know your long shot parlays down in the comments. I'm always curious to see what you guys are cooking up. And that's gonna do it for this week's Quick Picks with the Geek. No lock of the night this week, just a solid live dog and a lottery parlay for those of you who like to live dangerously. Remember, this is one of those cards where anything can happen. Close fights, close odds, and that usually leads to some wild results. So keep your bets small, stay disciplined, and if you're playing that lottery parlay, we're all just hoping to get lucky together. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Drop your own parlays down in the comments, especially your long shots. I love seeing what you guys come up with. Good luck this weekend, and as always, let's make some smart bets.